Hello, I'm Ryan Reyes.
And I'm Dominic Angel.
And I'm Ricky Macias.
And together we are...
Un Poquito!
Sorry, I almost yelled, in Spain.
Un Poquito podcast, learning about Latin culture little by little.
Nice.
Oh, man. We're feeling a little silly. We just had 10 pounds of pizza each.
We had 2 slices.
You know, they're big slices, though.
They're
big slices.
It was a medium pizza.
It was a large, actually.
Each?
Each pizza?
What is going on right now?
Yes, each pizza was a large.
No, we had one pizza. It was a large pizza. I just felt like attacked by the choice I made. And Ryan's like, that's a medium. Like, no.
This is kind of small piece.
It's because Ricky's little, dude. You don't know what you're doing to self-esteem right now when you say that it's a
Actually,
medium.
That's
a
perfectly big
Why
pizza.
is this the sitting dynamic?
Oh, because you're next to Ricky.
Yeah.
But it's also because, like, my butt's fat, so when I sit down, I look taller.
It's a really big issue because his butt's fat and I'm small and my butt's not fat.
I thought you were going to say because his butt's fat and I can't lie.
I should have said that. Okay.
Well, we're gathered here today.
Speaking of lies.
Speaking of life, no. Oh man.
Flaming Hot lies.
I will not. I can't confirm or deny. I don't know the truth. All I know is that we watched Flamin'. Is that what it's called?
Flamin' Hot.
Flamin' Hot. We watched Flamin' Hot, guys.
We did.
And we're gonna tell you what we think. Okay. I'm not. Listen. We already covered what we think about the alleged true story. Now. What was that?
A burp?
It's a compliment.
Stupid.
Give my compliments to the director chef.
Listen, we already said what we thought about the alleged true story.
It's not on purpose. What do you want me to do about it?
The whole
Move the mic away from your
be
mouth.
better. I don't gain control of your faculties, okay?
Did you say
Like a monk?
Did you say faculties?
Wow. I did not say that, but I agree with its use. Okay. Listen.
We're talking about a different fat cult. Hot Cheetos.
Burp. Sorry.
I don't like this energy. Ryan, you go. Since you got so much that you got to get out of your system, apparently.
That's good. I drink a whole bottle of water. I'm sorry. I have OCD.
His body's
the
not
cap
used to
fell
it.
on the floor face down. I couldn't close the bottle, and I couldn't just let it sit there because then I would collect dust because of the air. And I have OCD, so I drink an entire bottle of smart water.
When did you become the little girl in Signs?
I think she doesn't drink her water.
That's the point.
This water has a hair in it.
He'd drink all his water.
Okay, don't look too deep into these jokes, okay? You ruin the momentum.
You're right.
The
Josh
flow,
the American
if
is
you
here.
will.
He hated this movie, guys. He hated this movie.
Yeah, we tried to defend it. He hit us. I'm kidding.
He called the cops on us for even putting the movie on the screen.
We watched Flaming Hot, and I gotta be honest, the trailer did not accurately represent the vibe,
Yeah, so if you saw...
but in a good way. I wanted to finish my sentence,
Okay, finish your sentence.
but in a good way. That was the end of the sentence.
Can I finish? Okay, I finished.
If you guys saw or listened to the previous episode where we talk about Richard Montañez's story and like the whole controversy about Flamin' Hot Cheetos, we watched the trailer, and if you guys have seen the trailer, it's not a good trailer. It made the movie look terrible. Ooh. I didn't come into this as a hater, but I did not necessarily have high hopes for this movie. And I gotta say, it was a good movie. I genuinely enjoyed it. I thought everybody did a good job. There was some moments that were very campy, but overall, out the gate, I'm gonna give this movie a 7 out of 10. I think it's worth everybody watching. Like it, we were talking about it earlier, and it's. I would say, who said it? That it's the new Stand and Deliver.
Oh, me.
Yeah, Ricky. This movie is the new Stand and Deliver. Like this is the movie that like they're gonna be playing in high school English class. You know.
Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah, pretty. Which English class?
He said English.
English class. English.
Don't do this to me.
I like these.
But I could see it being like you're saying, it's one of those high school movies. You're gonna roll it in on a rainy day, or you're gonna learn some stuff about hot Cheetos. And you know what? To these kids, that's a long time ago. The '90s and the '80s.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, it really was.
It really was.
Yeah, it was a good movie. Can you real quick, Josh? Can you pull up the name of the cast,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah, like literally the year in the story that the movie ends is the year you were born,
2019.
1992.
The movie ends.
Yeah, it goes to the future. It comes to like now.
Oh, that's right, when he's eating at the restaurant. I forgot about that.
Yeah, but anyway.
But yeah, the main part.
So I don't know where to start with this because like the story. I thought they did a really good job of portraying his story in a way that was true to himself. This is what I really liked about it, right? It's about drive. I'm not going to do the fucking rock rap.
It's about power. We devour hot Cheetos.
But really it's about Richard believing in himself and his wife believing, like the people around him, like trying to come up, and like they did it in a way that I thought was very smart, that it really wasn't about Richard like sucking up to this company or like working for the white man, or like it was really about him believing in himself and having a good idea and like bringing that to fruition. There was no. It really was. I wouldn't say that it was a very heavy-handed movie in that way. There was a lot of stuff at the beginning that I was like.
Literally, the open line was a little bit too much.
These are the two problems I have with this movie. One is the heavy narration in like the first 15, 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just so like heavy narration where I feel like they didn't give the main actor, I don't know his name, but the
Jesse Garcia.
Jesse Garcia. That's Jesse Garcia.
That's
What's
Jesse
Jesse
Garcia?
Garcia been in? That's a name, right?
He's been in Flamin Hot, Quinceañera, The Mother, A Beautiful Life, Under the Same Moon, Collisions, Jarhead 2, Field of Fire.
Damn.
Oh, I haven't seen any of those. Jesse
Sure,
Garcia
too, Flaming Hot.
Flames of...
Jesse Garcia did a really good job.
Yeah.
I think I was a little bit worried because in the first half of the movie it was just heavily narrated, and I kind of felt like they weren't really giving him an opportunity to act, and it also kind of felt like, no hate to him, but he just didn't look the part for the early, like when he was young and like dressed as a cholo in like the Pendleton and like the Dickies and stuff, like when he was in a gang essentially.
Yeah, like he very much, most of the movie looks like a dude in a prosthetic wig and mustache.
And it's kind of funny because he looks more like the real guy in with his regular hair than he does with his wig.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's so funny.
They're playing up that this was in the 80s and the
Right.
90s, and like he had the mullet and he had like
pomp.
the shaggy hair and
That
stuff.
disco mullet.
Yeah. So like I don't know, I get it. The first half was it wasn't even the first half, it was like the first 20 minutes. It was like they really just powered through it. So like I don't know if anyone is the kind of person that like cuts a movie after 20 minutes. I feel like people get bored real quick, like because we watched it on Disney Plus. So like I know there's a lot of options. A lot of people like they'll start a movie, and if it's like whatever, then they might turn it off. But I would recommend just fucking hanging in there, dog.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also...
Believe in yourself. Sorry.
That's how it feels. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's also worth like it is. There's a lot of like moments in there where you forget that it's made by Disney, but it is kind of like a Disney movie.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I think that's where some of the camp aspects of it. They tried to make it very family friendly,
Yeah.
And they had that guy, was his name Bryce Gonzalez or something?
Yes.
Oh, I was right.
Nailed it. B.
What?
Rice.
Bryce?
Yep.
Dice
B.
Bryce.
Rice.
What's going on right now?
I didn't know you were going to continue saying. I was trying to repeat what he said because it sounded like you didn't hear him. You were saying B-Race.
Yeah.
I was referencing a joke.
They had that kid Bryson, and he he's from TikTok, and I think his moments, they played him up. I think this might be a thing they use his social platforms to promote the movie.
Like those clips are going to be on TikTok right now, on his TikTok promoting it probably.
Yeah, exactly.
The weird part was like his scenes that he was in, I feel like were filmed not a long time ago. Not a full 2 years ago, but when you look at him at his TikTok now, he does look older and taller. And so it's kind of funny that he might be older than the version of him. Like the kid that would have said it's spicy good might be too old to say that now.
Oh, not as cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen his TikTok. It would make sense. The movies take like 2 years to make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was definitely the worst actor in the movie.
I mean, he's a child actor.
I mean, the other kid was good.
Yeah.
Also, the kid that played the child version of Richard Montañez was good too.
The funniest line read to me was his bully, though, when he was like, "Oh, ew, gross." Like, he just says it immediately, one after the other.
Yeah, I think that kid, Bryce, I think he's great. I think that this is a thing that happened with a lot of people that come from TikTok, that they do lip syncing and they do like sketches and skits, and like it's the same thing that happened with Vine and like King Bach and like people that go in from social media, get popular on social media, and then they put them in movies, and like they're not as strong as the rest of the cast because they're not trained in acting. They're not actors. So like, I don't know. I mean, they definitely play him up. They're definitely using him for his social media power, and I still think I think he has potential to like. Hopefully, they put him in some training, and like he can potentially like have a pretty strong career. I mean, the same thing with that one kid from Nacho Libre. Like he had one line or two, a few lines in that movie, and then his career took off.
Right. Well, I think his parents were trying to start him young. Like,
I mean, yeah.
but I do understand what you're saying. Yes. Yeah, I mean, because he's also on the new George Lopez sitcom. He's like his grandson or something.
Yeah, but everybody in that show.
Yeah, he probably belongs there. It's crazy that you got that from the movie, because to me, the movie was really about a dad sacrificing his relationship to make his son better.
So the movie does have like toxic masculinity, like father-son elements.
Flaming hot masculinity.
Flaming hot masculinity. There's a whole thing between Richard Montañez's dad that I don't know. Okay, so they show the story of his relationship with his dad, and what they show is that his dad used to beat him as a kid. He was an alcoholic. Then he turned to God, and but still kind of judged him and kind of bullied him as an adult. And
he's like, you know what God thinks about you? You suck.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Honestly, the way it was, that was one thing that the way it was portrayed, especially at the beginning, felt weird to me. It felt like they wanted to make sure they told that part of the story, but they didn't want to show it.
What do you mean?
Like when his dad comes in and he's explaining, it felt like the story he was telling before and after that scene had nothing to do with it, and he was just mentioning it so that they had context for later on.
Oh, the alcoholic scene where he comes in and beats up the kid.
Yeah, and then immediately just cuts to the burrito thing.
I want to say that's 100% what it was for.
Yeah,
I mean, it for sure.
It just felt like out of place.
When they are showing him as a kid and as a young adult, and up until he actually starts working at the factory, they're just powering through and like getting in all the exposition that they need to set up the story. So it is clunky. It kind of felt like they were trying to do one of those moving set things. They do that a lot to show time passing, but it felt like that's what they were trying to do with that, where like he sat down and then something cool happened, and then the dad comes in and beats him up, and then it moves into the next. It kind
of felt like the Ant-Man thing with whenever his Mexican friend's telling a story.
I don't know that movie.
Damn it.
Yeah, me either.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
What the fuck? You!
When Michael Pena tells him, he catches him up to speed about what happened while he was away.
Yeah, and he's like telling the voice of everyone in the narration.
I've seen the meme. But no, yeah, listen, the first 15, 20 minutes is going to be clunky. Like you could tell that they didn't really spend that much time on it because the costuming is kind of weird. Like they're really just trying to get to him working at the factory. They're trying to set up all the relationships, all the problems. You know, the mom is working, his wife is working and like helping provide for the family. He can't get a job because he has a felony. And like that sets up the element of like their dynamics. But like it is funny for me. It's heartwarming, but it's also funny that they had that title card at the end that Judy never left his side.
Yeah, it's important to tell people your wife is ride or die for sure.
Man, I wanted to know.
The whole time. What's the name of the actor that played Judy?
Annie Gonzalez.
Annie Gonzalez.
Sheesh is right.
Trying to get like all of the noises in at once.
Not to catcall, but
meow.
Awooga.
Yeah.
Hubba, guga, zuga.
And outside of this role, boys, let me tell you.
This is bad.
This is so bad. First of all, I gotta say she did a great job.
She did amazing in the movie.
She was probably
she did great.
Phenomenal actor.
She's probably the strongest performance in the whole movie.
I don't know. That scene where Jesse slammed his glass down when he confronted his dad, I've seen fools act like that for real. Like when he got all tense and he was like...
Yeah.
I mean, he probably has. For real.
Yeah. It reminded me of people I've seen act like that before. That's why I started laughing when it happened.
Because it made you uncomfortable?
No, because it was so real. I was like, damn, he got real instantly. Like,
so let's talk about this a little bit because there's so many things going on real quick. First to put a button on the whole.
Oh yeah, sorry.
The Judy, like, I mean, I don't want to open it back up. We're gonna cut down a lot of the awoogas from earlier.
I hope you leave that
in. No, but she was great. Like, she was honestly. I don't know. Everybody did a really good job in this movie. She was great. It was just funny because the whole time, Josh has a real big crush on her, and then as the movie went on, we all developed our own crushes on her.
I think Josh.
The funniest moment is there's this scene where the guy playing Richard Montañez walks up to the actual Richard Montañez and is saying something to him. and it was like, oh, hey, that's the actual Richard. Oh, and there's his wife. And Josh heard that and he immediately rewinded. Paused, so they're standing next to each other. He's like, it's accurate.
Nailed it.
Yeah, but she did a really good job. And it we can get into the idea of like, does she have agency in this movie? What? But that we'll get to that. As a woman, like she gave a really strong performance, but like, it's like I wonder what because her whole role is to support Richard.
Yeah, literally.
Right, literally. But I mean,
it's a true story.
That's what I'm saying. There's two things. One is the true story, and also she like. Yes, she's defending and supporting Richard, but she's also there actually providing for her family. And they do show that of like standing up for them. Mm-hmm. She's working.
Nah, don't sleep on my lady, dog. She when she was like, oh, we're gonna make these chips. And
she
went and got all this. Yeah.
That's true. She did
made
more
it.
than supporting.
Yeah, she's the one who made it. If anything, he's capitalizing on her.
Justice for Judy. Judge Judy? Justice Judge.
That's terrible.
flame.
Anyway,
We'll
come back to that.
She was great.
So there's so much going on in this movie. I want to talk about the whole thing with the dad. First of all, I kind of want to hear Ricky's opinion over the overall movie because, like, not to blow up your spot, but Ricky was like, I was not prepared to be emotional over this movie.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's so much of this. I think that like. They touched on. It's blue collar work. It's being stuck at a dead end job or feeling like you're in a dead end job. You know, the whole family elements, the father son thing. So you said that you started getting emotional during the movie. Like, what are your thoughts about?
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't cry or anything, but it's okay to cry.
It's okay to cry.
But I wanted to.
I was tearing up because we were eating hot Cheetos. That's why it was really hot. No, yeah, because it's like it's blue collar and like even if you haven't felt that level of like struggle, like to feel any of it, to feel like you're on a low level in a blue collar work. Like I work with machinery and stuff in my day job, but I felt those moments of like you're just trying to work hard and like get farther ahead and to feel like people like I don't know, like you are part of a family and you're trying to get ahead, and it's like to take any risk on top of that is pretty wild because like he could lose his job for trying to shake anything up, and then you see that behavior and like some of the people are like, you don't talk to that guy, he's above us.
Right.
You don't go shaking things up. And his whole thing in this movie is like him trying to reach higher, like not just with who he can talk to, but what he has to offer. And it's like, he's in a very tenuous situation because he's trying to survive. And then he finally is able to start providing for his family. And then he's like, also, let me try to excel. And it's like, there's so much pressure to just keep your head down and not literally stir anything up, that it's just like, that's the emotional part that like, it's not enough for him to like finally be able to start to support his family. It's that like he knows there's more, he can offer more.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we run into a lot as like creative people of like wanting to work as performers or wanting to make art and wanting to do something that we feel is like these are our dreams and aspirations. I think it's really interesting to see his aspirations and like to see. I related it to a lot as a creative person because we do get a lot of pushback from like trying to shake things up and trying to aspire to something. I wouldn't put, being a performer above, working in a warehouse or anything, but it just is like, that's not what I want. I want to do something else. And the thing is like I remember when I first graduated high school and I started going to this film. I was taking film classes, and my mom went out with her friends, and like it was her friends and like their boyfriends or something, and they're like, "Oh, so what are you?" Everybody's kids were graduating high school, so they're like, "Oh yeah, my son, he just graduated. He's taking film classes," and then one of the boyfriends was like, "Oh, I had a friend that went to film school. He's working at Home Depot now." Mm-hmm. It's like you're just trying to aspire to anything else besides just like a worker.
Yeah.
Is like.
Yeah, he'd be more proud if you just went and worked at Home Depot.
Yeah. Like if I didn't try to do anything else and just went straight.
But you might also, that's the thing, like sometimes it's like a trap because like if you just went straight into Home Depot and stayed at Home Depot, it's like, hey, yeah, that guy just stays at Home Depot. Yeah. It's just like, okay, like, is there a win here? There's no win.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the thing for a lot. And one thing that was interesting is that it was a system. What they show in the movie, they just show racism, and the racism was a little bit ham-fisted in the beginning. But even like with later on in the movie, it was more microaggressions, like with his boss, like mispronouncing his name. But like he didn't.
Even the reception lady, she's like, "We don't have the resume in Spanish."
Mm-hmm. Right.
Or the application.
Yeah, there's stuff like that. But after that, I mean, I think this was calculated, but after that, they didn't really pick up on the racism. They were kind of like, oh, we just don't deal with janitors, like, but like even when the guy hired him, it wasn't like, oh, you're a dirty Mexican.
No.
We're not gonna hire you. He was just like, you're a liar.
It's like you don't even have a high school diploma.
Yeah.
And you're lying about it, about a school I know about.
Yeah.
You're lying to my face off top, like.
Yeah. You know, and
You
then
untrustworthy.
he
Is the
he
guy
took
wearing a hair cap?
So he took a chance on him, and you know, they balanced it out in a way that I thought was really cool, of like not playing too much into like a race thing. Although I'm sure that was prevalent. Like I remember there was a scene where the kid's putting his foot on like that old man's car,
right.
and he comes and grabs him and starts yelling at him, and then the mom like starts yelling at him, and because he calls the kid a wetbag. He's like, the old man says like, you pop out these wet bags or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Oh.
Yeah, that is something. The acting was hammy, but that's something I believe, because my mom was like, I was like picturing my mom in that scenario, like with me and Anthony, like.
And you're putting your gum all over someone's car.
Yeah, just doing something stupid, you know.
Yeah, you're literally just being a dumb kid. And
and
they put more on it.
My mom she would speak about dealing with racism like that all the time, and be seen as being as just like a Latina, and like being mistreated when she would go in to apply for work and stuff, and the amount of hustle that she had to do. She told me this story. I should have her tell it. But she told me this story of like, she was trying to apply for this job. And so she was trying to apply for a job. She just needed to make money. And so she was going around applying, and there was a pay phone that was like 30 minutes from the house. So she used to go, when she would go apply for a place, she would go like, you can reach me at this number between this time and this time, like 1 to 3. She would go, walk to the payphone, and just sit next to the payphone, and like hopefully somebody called it. And sometimes they did. And then I think she told me like shortly after that, the big thing was that she found a pager on the ground, like somebody's pager, and she like came up, you know. And so that was a big thing, was like she would have them call the pager so that she could go to the payphone and call them back, so she wouldn't have to walk there every day. But it's like, that's the kind of thing. That's when I see movies like this, and like that's why like a little bit of the campiness is like okay to me, and like what a hustler this dude is, because of the stories that my mom told me of like the stuff that she used to do,
Right.
you know, to provide for us when we were kids.
Yeah, I think it also kind of the campiness can balance out the heaviness of some of this stuff, because it's like, the struggle and the hustle, like, because my mom used to be like a seamstress, and she'd work at like a factory, like just like, and she had to be like the best and still got treated like shit. Like Montañez is working like really hard, and they're still like, yeah, whatever. And it's like, even when you work hard, there's still like this energy of like, that's what you should be doing.
Well, in the scene where his friend lays out like the hierarchies, it's like, that's the system that they live in. It's like, this is the way that things are, and that's just what you got to get used to. Were you gonna say something?
Mean black hotties.
Mean black hotties.
It's from Mean Girls. Yeah.
They did the
Mean Girls scene.
The Mean Girls scene.
What you were saying earlier about the first part of the movie getting all crammed together, I was thinking it was Eva Longoria's debut as a director. So like maybe some of the campiness, like we were always saying, like the director's got something to do with that for the acting.
It's hard to say. I don't want to take anything away from Eva Longoria by suggesting that there was a lot of producer, like executive,
You're saying she didn't do nothing?
I'm not saying she didn't do anything, but I'm saying like even there, you know, sometimes to get a movie made, you have to appease the
For sure.
the company or whatever it's called, the studio. So they'll tell you, no, you need this, you need that, you need this. The reason I say that is because how the rest of the movie is once he starts working at the factory. There's touches of racism, but in the first in the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie, it's like really hammy. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a studio thing because they really got to sell this guy's story. And I think I have an assumption that we talked about in the last episode. Latinos are tired of these depictions of like cramming racism, cramming like inspiring stories. This is an inspiring story, and that's what they wanted to do. But they didn't want to make him a victim.
He uses food in all of his to solve all his problems or diffuse things throughout the whole movie. He gives the bully burrito. He's like, oh, I can make money right here, and then he uses he connects with his son on food. I didn't even think of that scene. Him and his son are always grabbing spicy shit together.
I try to use food to solve my problems, but I just gained 40 pounds.
Tell me about it.
Oh, no.
Bean burritos.
Yeah. He diffuses the bully. He wins over C.C. Baker.
With a burrito.
The burrito.
Clarence Baker.
Clarence, what's the...
Clarence C. Baker.
Clarence Charisma Baker.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember.
That's
I
what it
remember
was.
his initials. I believe you. I just couldn't remember even after you said it.
You're right. He wins him over with the burrito.
The whole movie takes place... He's telling the story from a restaurant.
He is?
Yeah, he's in the... He's like, that's how I got here. It's not this restaurant.
Ray's Tepeyac.
It's like some fancy like hotel place or something.
I mean, that would track. He's from Ontario. Dog, do you ever been to Tepeyac?
Yeah, actually.
That's like where you go. That's my mom loves to go there. Like whenever it's like, let's go out to eat. Fucking go to Ray's Tepeyac.
I've never been there.
It's pretty good.
Where's it at?
I know there's one in Azusa, right?
There's one in Azusa.
There's one in Azusa. There's another one.
I don't know where the other one is, but I've definitely been to the Azusa one.
That's a place where my mom took me, and she'll never let me live it down. That I ordered an enchilada plate, and then ordered tamales, and I ate one enchilada. I ate one enchilada and took everything home. And she's like, "Why did you order 2 meals if you're only gonna eat one enchilada?" And then I was like, I had leftovers, and the next day they were gone, and I was fucking pissed.
Oof, that'd be mad.
Everybody ate all my fucking food.
I'd be so... I mean, I'm the guy that eats all the food at the house, but I'd be so mad if someone did that to me.
You're quiet now, aren't you, Ryan? God, you fucking bitch.
When I was younger, I had a 24-hour fridge clause, leftover policy.
24-hour fridge clause?
You got 24 hours to eat your food, and after
You would call
that, it's
it
community.
a Santa Claus.
Don't you fucking start with me, dude. That would be a good agreement. Is like if it's in there for more than 24 hours,
It's mine.
you know, yeah. But that's not what would happen. It would literally
Starting when
be
you get home.
no. We would go out to eat on a Friday or a Saturday, and so I'm like, okay, cool. I have food for the next day. Sunday, we got it for dinner, right? We would get it for dinner, so I would like, oh, I have a lunch, and some fool ate it for breakfast.
Some fool ate it for a night snack.
Yeah. And they would leave the rice and beans.
I'd be like happy but mad. Like at least but still mad.
No, I'm fucking furious.
Yeah, I'm mad because I thought it was still there.
Yeah.
And then I opened the box and it's gone.
Oof.
You should have just thrown it away, or just you didn't eat the rice.
Just throw it away.
It wasn't me.
I can't believe you would do that.
focusing.
I'm just joking.
It was most likely my mom, which, you know, to be fair, she paid for it.
Just like fucking Dominic.
Is that a
tamales.
spite?
Yeah,
Like, didn't even
That's
eat
crazy.
it.
Well, I mean, if you would have only ate one thing and then didn't eat anything else, I might have thought you might not have liked it.
That's also the thing. If you ordered one thing and then those were your leftovers, that's different. You had a whole meal you didn't eat.
Oh, so you did eat it.
No, but it's like you're trying to defend
If this
the
person-
decision to order 2 plates and not eat one of them.
They didn't have a combo of what I wanted. If they had a combo that was like 1 tamal, 1 enchilada, that's what I'm ordering.
Yeah, they're not gonna make 1 enchilada.
The funny thing is, the funny thing is there's places that do that now, and I feel like it's because of people like Dominic.
I mean,
God.
you can get an enchilada.
Like in El Money, that place Grandma likes does that.
Oh, El Sombrero.
Yeah, you get literally like 1 enchilada, 1 tamale.
Shout
rice
out
and
if
beans.
you're ever in El Monte, San Gabriel Valley, El Sombrero, best flautas I've ever had.
Ooh,
They're pretty good.
You know what?
I've never had their flautas.
The
I
only
usually get
thing-
pastrami.
This isn't even a bad thing. It's just a thing to prepare for.
like
Is
pastrami,
like their cheese enchiladas tastes kind of like pizza. It's
If
a
you're
little
ordering
weird.
cheese enchiladas, get a life. Get a hobby or something.
Fuck you. That's a double reference.
You know, there's this thing where like Latino places will do like enchiladas, like chilaquiles, well, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, a neighborhood's getting gentrified when chilaquiles end up in different restaurants. Like, oh, this place is done for. Like,
There's a
It's like-
place in Glassell Park that makes chilaquila burritos. I haven't had them, but it's like all white folks.
Sounds fire.
How does that work?
well,
You put the
first
chilaquiles in the flour tortilla and roll it up.
with bangs,
Baby.
and they gotta eat it really fast, or else the chips aren't crunchy.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Anyway. Listen, Mexicans like food.
Because it's not even. Sorry, I'm just stuck on the chickens. Because it's not even that like a limp chilaquila is bad. You're still gonna eat it, but in a burrito, that's like not a texture you want.
You don't want a limp burrito?
No,
What?
What about a limp biscuit?
I was trying to remember any of his music. I don't listen to Limp Bizkit.
Roll it, roll it.
Rolling burritos. That's what
Nice.
That was a good one.
Are we keeping any of this?
That's
Yeah.
Keeping all of it.
Because food is something Latinos can connect on.
Right.
That's the whole. You know, I was actually thinking about it. They're doing the thing with the story. You know, there's like rumors that it's a fake story that the company was fine with because it had
Allegedly.
representation. Alleged.
Right.
I was thinking that this movie's kind of doing the same thing. It's like also a like feel good story that's perpetuating the. There's like good promotion for the chip, and it's like also appealing to Latino people. Like,
They did it in a very smart way, but in a weird way because they were like, so well, I don't know if we were clear on what we were talking about, but like addressing the idea that Richard's story is fake, right? You did say that.
yeah, I said allegedly. Fake.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but well,
I don't really know how to do it. He's from Rancho, so
you gotta
mad
stay
respect.
strong.
Sorry.
No. I was trying to think of a joke, but I couldn't come up with one fast enough. No, but they do address the allegations that his story might be fake, and they do it in a really smart way where they kind of gloss over it. But in a very like, oh, they were working on something about the Midwest.
Simultaneously.
But it kind of gives credit to Pepsi's take of like, oh, there's possibility that two teams could be working on the same thing without the other one knowing. Because he was just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on over there.
Yeah.
But
Hey, you know what? The CIA and the FBI, they don't know what each other's doing all the time.
No?
I feel like one of them knows what
Yeah.
the others do.
That's the whole thing.
Frito-Lay does.
That was the whole thing about 9/11.
The Frito-Lay company was involved.
Well,
Right.
you
Jet
know,
fuel
they keep the
can't
right hand
If
from
they
the
don't wanna
left
be in
hand,
there.
so
Yeah.
the two don't.
I just said other words.
Hot Cheetos can melt
Those
steel
buildings,
beams.
those buildings were flaming hot.
Never forget.
How spicy.
Those beams.
That's what the red fingers are to remind you for. I'm sorry.
These
You're
two-
going real in deep
So
on
these
this
two
bit,
right?
fingers
These
and
two
the towers,
views are
and this one's
representation.
Tower 7. The
Yeah.
thumb.
Oh my god.
This is the Pentagon.
When you use the whole hand, it's the Pentagon.
Oh, we're getting somewhere now.
I like how much we're building an actual conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that 747 was filled with hot Cheetos.
I don't know why that sounded racist.
Yeah, so they addressed it.
Yeah,
They did a good job.
Yeah, they do gloss over it a little bit, but it is
But they
I
also
mean,
mention it. Like, that's the thing.
They do address it, but they do it. I think they do it in a way that it still makes this story of like, hey, yeah, they were probably working on it. They came up with something. They never show that he came up with Flamin' Hot, the name, which maybe they should have added because all he was. And what they do in the movie is spoilers. Everybody, if you made it this far, we're fucking spoiling this.
You should have said
But he never says like we'll call it Flamin' Hot. You know, he never comes up with a name. He's just like, I'm making the hot Cheetos. The marketing team came up with Flamin' Hot.
In fact, there's like at least one, but maybe 2 times where he refers to the chip. Like someone's like, "What is this?" and he calls them Cheetos con chile.
Yeah, exactly.
And when the kids are handing them out in the streets, they call them hot Cheetos.
And that's what anybody ever calls them anyway. It's just hot Cheetos.
Yeah, that's true. Because my name would be like Pikacheetos. Like it would be a bad name. Pika.
It's Pokemon. Sorry.
Pokemon.
Pikacheetos.
I just imagine Ricky like working as a machinist trying to come up with names for the airplanes. Like if Tony Shalhoub was put out a video for Ricky. Just put hot sauce on it, dog.
Makes it go faster.
Flaming Hot Airlines.
I did like that they didn't just stick with him being like all confident too. Like they had him like be like like he was nervous at first. He did do the thing where he was like he gained confidence as he was going when he put the cards down, that classic trope. But
yeah, they did so many things right. Like I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like all of the elements. I feel like the only things that I didn't like was the heavy narration and the campiness with the parts with the kid.
Right.
And the music throughout.
The music was good.
The music was it's too much. It was too much for me.
It felt too generic. It felt like the exact same music they used for like Latino food commercials.
It is a Disney movie.
No, I get that, but it didn't feel distinct. Like it didn't have its own thing. Why does the Mandalorian get his own theme song? And
we're
fucking
talking about.
Yeah, why can't we?
Richard Montañez is real. All right.
Why can't we get Aquafina to do a hot Cheeto rap for our movie?
I want to see the Cheetos. I would like to see the Cheetos.
They did have a like song for it called the Fire Inside or something like that.
Oh yeah, but that was like all the way at the end of the movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was like the song of the movie.
Is that Snow the Product?
No, it was like a pop song.
Oh.
There's
Hot
also
Cheetos,
like
the product.
a lot of popular Latino rappers right now, I feel like.
I mean, that's a conversation for
I mean, the
another-
most notable song in the movie is Kid Frost's La Raza when the Cholos are coming into the factory to take over.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
They did everything. You know, I think they touched on gang violence and like crime without
When
like.
that fool gave him a nookie.
Even just a
was
like
weird.
almost a throwaway line of
Damn, I
like
said nookie,
treat
that's-
them like criminals, they become criminals, kind of like.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is like low key, like you're saying the right thing without being heavy handed about
Dog,
it.
I was snapping.
Yeah.
And they
During
still
that
made it a
moment.
joke too. Like
And-
they were running down the street throwing stuff. Like it was still kind of like campy a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do think that they address it in a more realistic way of like they said that the line, if you treat them like criminals, they become criminals. Like obviously there's choices of stuff, and you have to hold people accountable. But I do think it is even the people in I forget the guy's name, but the original guy that was working for Frito-Lay, like he goes
Tony something.
Richard goes to him to get a job, and like that guy's also dealing with his own shit of like he left the criminal life and is trying to go straight and then goes back to it. I do think they did a good job of showing that element of like, yeah, that is part of people's lives because that's what's around them and it's presented as an option, especially when like, you know, it is a little bit heavy-handed, but it's not unrealistic that like Richard was released from jail or I don't know if it was prison or jail, but he was a high school dropout. He couldn't find work, and he's trying to better himself, and nobody's giving him a shot. Mm-hmm. So like,
That's why when people start losing their jobs, that's sometimes the only thing immediately left for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I've said before, and there's people that have theorized, there's some studies that show, like, when people's basic needs are met, there's not a need for crime. If you read the new Jim Crow, they talk a lot about people going to prison for drug crimes and then coming out and trying to get work and trying to stay away from going, like, what is it called?
Institutionalized?
No, there's a word that starts with an R. Recidivism.
Oh, recidivism?
Yeah, they're trying to stay, like, avoid recidivism. And
That monkey, Josh. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just feeling like I was just making a dumb joke. I was just like brainiac.
He was like,
over
"Why
here.
don't you know that word? You're autistic."
anyway, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Of, like, people trying to leave that life behind them, especially when they've served time, and then it just we see it so much in these. We saw it in Blood In, Blood Out. We see it in other movies of, like, they just can't get a job, so that becomes the only option. And I think, his story, I don't know how real it is or how true it is, but he really pushed himself. And that's what we see, is that he pushed himself to really avoid that life, and he's willing to take what he can get to keep himself out of that life, but at the same time, that's not enough for him. So I think that was a good element of the movie.
I didn't hate it.
What did you guys think of the? We touched on it a little bit earlier, but what did you guys think about the dynamic with his dad?
I thought it was, like, decent. Like, I don't feel like it overshadowed. I think similar to, like, the crime element, it didn't overshadow the main story, but it explains that even when you try to, like, push yourself, like, all these other elements are things you're also overcoming at the same time. Like the dad element, like, this is, like, generational, There's also kind of alluding to generational trauma and the dad, like, basically feeling worthless or treating, like, his son like he's worthless.
Yeah.
And then he eventually stands up to his dad. And, we were joking that, like, this part's fantasy where the dad, spoilers, where the dad was like,
Apologizes.
He's like, "I'm sorry I wasn't the dad you needed, or I wasn't part of what made you the man you are today."
That was wild.
That was pretty wild, because the first thing I said was not correct, and then I said this part of, like, "I'm sorry I didn't help make you the man you are," which is, like, very specifically worded.
Yeah, like, shows that he's proud of his son, but he recognizes the faults that he had in his upbringing, and, like, we joked about it while we were watching, but there's a lot of people that we hear. There's a lot of stories we hear, and I think we see it represented in media when there's this weird, toxic father. In I've seen it a bunch of times, and there's this idea of, like, the world is tough, so you got to toughen up. It's like the Boy Named Sue trope, I guess, of, like, he did that so he could become tough, and, like, all that. It could have went that way, and I would be interested to find out, like, if his dad really did, like have that moment with him, or if this is a moment, like, either way, I think it's a valuable moment to have in movie, because that is one of the most authentic scenes in the movie, I feel like.
Josh commented on it, where, like, I've seen fools get up like that and argue, like, the way he got up out of his chair.
Yeah,
when they're fighting.
He seemed like he got actual mad when his dad was. I can't remember the word he said, but I think he basically said, "Respect him" or something like that.
Oh, because I forgot. Richard Montañez says something to the dad, and then the dad's like, "Respect me in front of my company."
Immediately gets, like, he slams his beer, he breaks his beer bottle.
Yeah, he slams, like, his hand down, he breaks the bottle.
I heard the crack of the bottle. So he had a beer, and I saw, like, it splashes.
Yeah, he, like, jumps up.
I felt like that was his You know, in Django Unchained, when bro broke his cuts his hand on the fork.
Yeah, and like you said, it's, you know, that's a moment that I've had with my parents.
I mean, I've at least seen people get that upset like that about something serious. That's why I thought it was good acting. I have not had that moment with my dad. My dad's happy-go-lucky. My dad's smiling.
What a lucky guy.
Yeah, sorry. My dad's all cheerful. My dad's watching Cake Wars right now. All right.
My dad probably is too. But as a reformed...
My dad's watching it from the afterlife.
You win, Ricky. You win. Is that what you want to hear?
I thought we were having a happy off.
But no, like there was authenticity to that, to the fight scene where he stands up to his dad, and the, like you said, the emotions behind it of like just brimming with anger, with never being good enough, you know, for this person that abused him as a child, and then now to see him try to be righteous, and like. And judge him for things and belittle him in front of people, like I've been there where I felt like my parents cared more about the opinions of the pastor or of somebody at work or of like other people and not their own son. And so like I definitely connected with that scene, and that scene, you know, towards the end right before the presentation where his dad is tying his tie for him and he finally apologizes and acknowledges his faults in that, like that's a pretty big moment, I would say in Latino cinema.
Something that I've been thinking about is I don't think that it's necessarily I think it's intentional, but I think it's not as part of the written story because it wouldn't be something that the actual Richard would necessarily talk about in his story because he's an older Latino, but you kind of do see the effects of like how his experiences influence his mental health and his sense of self. Like one of the things that he says to his dad is, because he's telling him off to the preacher, he says something like, the funny thing is, even though I got away from you, it's your voice that I hear in my head when I'm planning things. It's like your voice in my head when I don't trust myself. And that's the beating I can't get away from, is the emotional beating. Mm-hmm. And it's a thing of like, and you see that in other forms when he's talking to people where he's not a dumb person. He's like an intelligent, fast thinking person, but nobody's willing to hear him and give him a chance. And I think that's why, in a weird way, he idolizes the two people that help him or the two people that give him the chance that he's been waiting for. Because in my opinion, in a way, they're sort of like father figures for him for the rest of the movie, which is Clarence and Enrico, the head of PepsiCo.
Mm-hmm. Which that's its own crazy. I mean, we're not crazy, but it's. That was an interesting character and an interesting depiction. I don't know if the real Enrico is really like that. It's that, I don't know. It's like, it would have been interesting to learn more about him, but it's not his story, obviously.
Right.
And
you're saying that guy needs his own biopic. He's just handing out jobs he's like, anybody could do it.
It was interesting. The funny part was when he's like, you saw my...
Just by not being a dick.
So there's the scene where the CEO records the video, and then they play the video. Like, they just put it on a TV in the lunchroom, and then that's what inspires Richard to do it, to come up with Hot Cheetos. And the way that Richard convinces him to let him do the presentation is by saying, "That's what you said in your video." Oh, that was so funny.
He fed into his ego a little bit.
Yeah, Enrico was like, "You saw my video?"
It's like, it took a lot of takes.
He definitely gave off like ambiguous, like not Willy Wonka character, but like Have you guys seen the movie Robots, the cartoon?
Yeah.
So he reminds me of Mr. Bigwell, where like he's important to the story as inspiration, but he's not important as a character. So when he's actually in person, he's kind of just like one-sided, but not in a bad way, where he's just like a positive influence and vibe. Like,
he did have kind of like manic dream girl vibes.
Yeah, like he exists as an aspect of this dude's story rather than a person.
Yeah, we should have. They should have cast Zoe Deschanel.
Hey, go make Cheeto.
Ooh, spicy.
Oh, spicy. So you watched my video? Wow.
He brings out a ukulele. You can do it.
But I also got the vibe from him that he actually cared about, like he actually liked the company and actually cared about it, and it wasn't just like that guy was so passionate.
Who? Enrico?
The boss. Yeah, Enrico.
Yeah.
He actually cared.
Yeah, no, they did get that sense. I mean, that could.
I mean, he literally says that he's like, we invest in.
Yeah, no, I mean they did that. I'm just like, I don't know how true that is.
I mean, how true is any of this?
Anyway, but no, it was cool.
He's like, and then I asked my son, and the son was like, no, it's good hot,
dude. You know what my favorite scenes were? Even though it's funny to like think about what it was like on set while they were filming it, but when Richard is like telling what went down in the boardrooms. And like he's telling it the way that he talks, and they do the voiceover. It's like a drunk history, like
right.
I can just imagine him with a microphone, like a megaphone, as they act it out.
Well, in my head, like when you watch the scene, like you can see how they would actually sound in the scene, and it's hilarious to think about that of Tony Shalhoub being like, and Tony Shalhoub's voice, like. Calling someone, what is it? Oh, fuck, what does he call him?
They're calling. He's like, the thing is that just to explain what it is like there's these scenes where Richard Montañez is doing voiceover and he's narrating what happened in these boardrooms, but he's saying it as if like some fool is telling the story. So he's like, yeah, and then this Vato was like, what the fuck is going on here?
And that's why your Ruka doesn't respect you.
yeah, shit like that. And then like they do these like scenes where, and it's like Tony Shalhoub and like these other white actors like lip syncing to what he's narrating, and it's some of the funniest scenes. Like I was laughing every time it happened. Like
like when that dude throws his hands, like I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, like it was so fun. All the actors did a good job too of like doing motions and gestures and expressions like as they're following along. So like those scenes are hilarious. There's a lot of interesting. First of all, I said it while we were watching. The cinematographer for this movie did a great job. Like this,
I got that right here. Like I literally looked it up while you were just talking.
The camera work is great. The lighting is good. That's
Federico Cantini.
Federico?
No,
Federico?
Federico. Federico. So I said it's kind of a weird name. Federico.
That's the name.
Federico Cantini.
Federico Cantini. That fool did a great job. Like I thought this movie looked good. The lighting was good. The movements were really good. Like there was the colors. Honestly, like truly, like everybody did a good job on this.
Yeah. I've been looking at the cast, and there's a lot of Latinos. I was actually surprised. Like almost every department has at least 2 or 3 Latinos. Like.
Yeah, I mean that was part of like a big push like that Eva Longoria wanted. That's why a lot of people were getting excited about this film in general.
And I noticed I looked up who did the music because there's only one person who did the score. They have a really extensive career actually. They've been making scores for a whole bunch of stuff for a long time.
That's great.
But I did think it was funny. I was like, maybe it seemed a little off because they're from Brazil, and they're not like Mexican.
That could be it. I mean, to be honest,
it like seemed kind of generic because they're like, I don't know, Mexico stuff.
Right.
They're like, I don't think I could put Danza Kuduro in this.
That could be it because the music was really just,
Marcelo Zarvos is the name.
The music was really just like very generic, and it kind of just helped push through. And there was a lot of scenes where there was music where I feel like it was unnecessary to even have it. Or just like, I don't know, maybe it's me too. Like maybe it felt generic to me. So somebody that's
I guess it also depends if they're also shooting. If it's a family movie, they're probably also shooting for an older audience as well as a young one.
Right.
So this might not be music for us. And we're literally like,
true.
Our parents or people older than us probably would have dug all this.
Yeah, but they could have
mixed it up.
They could have mixed it up. Like, there's no reason we couldn't just have a straight up string.
My mom literally grew up in the area at that time, and she listened to oldies with her. They were listening to oldies. I feel like I'll bet you my mom knows this guy, dude. If all the places they were saying was the places she probably kicked it with some of those people.
Damn,
like the guy with the spider tattoo on his head.
She that was his Ruka, your mom.
My mom was down, dog.
I really enjoyed, like, honestly, one of my favorite elements, and I don't know that much about Eva Longoria, right? And we were making fun of the writer. I'll say it, I was making fun of the writer for being Christian or for writing Christian movies. But, like, I really liked the kind of risks they took with the fantasy sequences.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was really cool. There was a lot of really good camera work there, and just like how stylized it was. I wish they would have pushed it a little bit farther and because there were some elements where it reminded me of
Mean Girls.
No,
they really did, actually.
Whoa.
They did do that a lot.
I'm
in
half
Mean Girls.
joking, but
I could see the Mean Girls
They
thing.
had the mall scene where they were all acting like animals and
Yeah,
it was like
yeah,
the
yeah.
wild a lot.
The movie that I was thinking of with those fantasy sequences was Sorry to Bother You. I thought they could have pushed it a little bit more and made it like a little bit weirder. But like, cause those moments for me were some of the best moments.
I think they were fine, but I think instead of saying, "Nah, I'm just kidding," he should have been, "Nah, but imagine." That would have made it 10 times
That would have
better.
been so funny.
Especially the one where he beats the shit out of that dude. He's like, "Nah, but imagine, dude."
That would have been funny. That, like, I was waiting for that too, of like, nah, but imagine. Nobody said imagine in this movie.
That's lacking. Yeah.
Yeah, and this movie is about about imagination
And dreams
ideas
and creativity. It literally is.
Yeah. Imagineer. That would have been funny. No, like, but again, like those kind of fantasy moments were really fun and surprising. I did not expect that from this.
Well, there's 4 writing credits. One of them is Louis Colick, who's the guy we've been talking about.
Okay.
And then Linda Yvette Chavez.
Oh, she did Hentified.
She's got a writing credit for this.
That's crazy. I
And
immediately
the other 2
recognized.
writing credits are for Richard Montañez and Judy Montañez.
Oh, cool.
That's tight.
That makes sense where that comes from then. Like, I feel like maybe Linda Yvette Chavez has something to do with it because she was a co-creator of Hentified. And there are elements like that in the
A little more surreal.
show. Yeah, a little bit more surreal.
I mean, those kind of surreal things are cool. I mean, I think those like that father figure stuff, like the having like a role model and like a mentor, is like. I mean, I just identify with that. Like sometimes you end up in these spaces and like there's one person that's like, yeah, you're not an idiot. Like, like all they have to do is agree that you're not dumb, and then you're like, you can keep going. And I think showing how, I think they didn't shy away from showing how important that was. But even those little moments are like, you're fine. Like validating him enough, I think was really important.
What I liked about the film and how it was orchestrated was I feel like a lot of other stories would have dove into him being successful a little bit before ending the film. What am I trying to explain? Like, the movie isn't about him becoming like what was his title at the end?
director of multicultural marketing.
Yeah, like it's not about him having that title; it's about him fighting for this idea, and like a lot of it, and because it's in his pitch, is like a lot of it is like we're looking for people to recognize that we matter, that we're here, and that we're part of everything. And I think that the movie focuses on that feeling more than it is like how cool is it that that's where he ended up. It's like how he literally it's the journey, not the end. That's the point.
Yeah.
That's kind of the part that triggered that thought from me. I was like, this movie is what they're explaining. I was like, when he's like, oh, we want to see ourselves on that shelf.
I was thinking
Yes.
that.
I was like, oh man, this is kind of meta.
Yeah, very meta. And now that I know that Linda Yvette Chavez worked on it, like it makes so much more sense, like the directions that they took it. And like, yeah, I was thinking that as Ryan was talking, and as I was like, all the shit that I said last week about the show, about the trailer, and like, and like,
Boy, there are hot Cheetos in your face.
Yeah,
yeah,
a bunch of guys who liked the Hot Cheeto movie. I thought it was good.
Their pants are flaming hot because they're on fire.
Well, I mean, look again. I was going off of the trailer, and we even said like,
Yeah.
it is very hard to depict like Chicano identity, Latinidad, like. It's a tough line to walk, and I do think that there were some parts where they camped it up a bit too much, you know. But overall, I think that they did accomplish, like, at least for me, you know.
Same.
The parents when they showed them in the 80s and the 90s, like, I mean, it takes place in the 90s, but like literally, I was talking earlier, like they reminded me of my parents, like. I had like flashbacks of like the 90s of like kind of being there during that time, and I think it was pretty genuine. I think they did a really good job, and you know, I'll fucking eat my words.
Well, to speak to that, I don't think we need to. Here's my thing about what we said about the trailer: is it still feels that way watching the trailer, like.
For sure.
The vibe I get after watching the film is the movie was for us and our community, but the trailer was just in case they could sell it outside the community, like to open it up to as big an audience as possible because it's a Disney film.
I see that, and I agree with you. It is just a thing of like. I feel like the trailer really does it a disservice.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like that's why I don't like it, is that they thought they had to do that so that people would pay attention.
Yeah, because they really didn't. They could have just
used all the good parts.
Yeah, like they could have just showed what the actual movie, because the trailer really does not show what this movie is going to be like at all. I was surprised, and when we first started watching it again, I always have to bring up the first 15-20 minutes of like it was a little bit hammy, it was a little clunky, they sped through it. It serves a purpose, but the movie itself overall, it was great. I really enjoyed it, and now talking about it more, I'm like, I think I liked it more than I did before we started talking about it.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Because it just like there's so many things that we don't really see all the time, you know, and I think they really took some risks with this, and like even portraying Richard as, like you said, like he's uneducated. It was funny though that every chance that she got, Judy was like, "Is he the smartest man? No,
Yeah,
but he's my husband,
And I'm
he's
stuck
special."
with him.
No, she's very supportive, but the way they framed it was like, you're just barely not calling him stupid.
One of the crazy things, I was like, this is just such it passed by the proofreader of like one of the lines was, maybe it's a line out of the book, but they should have switched it, because he said, "I'm the most uneducated, successful person in the world."
I fuck with that. That's how I feel.
I feel like the line should have been, "I'm the most successful, uneducated person in the world."
I see what you're saying.
I guess it sounds the same to me, but maybe it's because I'm uneducated.
Me too.
That was a funny thing that Because you said that, I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't know better because he's uneducated.
Oh, you know what? No, I'm on that side.
Yeah, no, that makes more sense. He would say it that way.
Yeah, he would say it that way.
He puts his problem first.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess
Is this the only movie on Disney Plus that shows weed? They showed like a tray of drugs.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Well, I think they were smart about it because they mention they're very careful about the language chosen. I don't know if there's more than one line that actually confirms that what he's doing is selling drugs, but they show prescription bottles and ambiguous pills because technically, like, that's not fully you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
there was just a tray of weed.
Oh, that's oregano.
that,
Oh yeah, they were cooking.
that was when they were coming up with the recipe for hot Cheetos.
He does say, and the Latino
Flamin Hot cooking.
movement was in full effect.
Oh, right.
Well, yeah,
when it
making
shows
the noodle.
that.
All right.
Yeah. Take this to your tia.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I have to say about it except that I would recommend it.
Definitely.
At the beginning of this talk, I gave it a 7. I think I would give it a soft 8. Soft 8. 7.35.
That's
Wait,
what she
out
said.
of 10?
Yeah.
For
Like
like
a
what kind of
chode
movies? For all movies? This is an 8. This is a solid 8.
I said
a soft 8 out of 10 for all movies.
The way that I described it to Steve earlier when he was with us is this is a movie, like, if you guys are going to watch this on Father's Day, like, you guys will have a good time.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We describe this movie as this generation's Stand and Deliver, which I firmly believe. And Stand and Deliver is a great movie.
Yeah.
Who does?
if you made it this far, let us know what movie you'd like us to see in the comments.
Watch this with your dad.
If you have one.
If you don't,
You win, Ricky. Yeah, I don't know. Like this is a good family movie.
Absolutely.
For sure. If you have the chance to see it in theater, I think it might be worth seeing. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say if you have the chance to see it in theater, you should, because it definitely is entertaining. You're going to have a good time, and this movie kind of needs to make money, and I'm fucking here for it. This isn't like when fucking El Chicano came out and everybody had all these issues with it and it looked terrible. And, like, people were like, you just got to go and fucking pay for the movie no matter what because we need more Chicano movies.
and from us at Un Poquito, don't fly.
Real quick, give it a number rating.
Oh yeah.
10,
4
Out of what?
11.
That's even weird.
4 out of 5 hot Cheeto fingers.
Wait, can I do it again? Can
No,
you do-
you're done.
I give this movie a 16 out of 23.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That's
For
what I was
Josh.
gonna do. I was gonna be like, out of 17. It's a random number.
It's a good movie to check it out for sure. I'll probably watch it. I